Well, hello, everybody, and time for another episode of Tarot for Our Times. The news has been so fascinating in the just today only, I wouldn't even know where to begin. In fact, that means I'm probably going to be stepping up my videos in the next few days. But and I've got to say this right off. This is for entertainment purposes only. So I wanted to. I was so caught up in the Fani Willis, and I know there's. I would say that the that New York thing with him owing God knows, I think it's keeps ticking up. I somehow feel that we haven't heard the whole thing of that yet, so that's good to save for another day. But as far as the Fani Willis hearing goes, what I have been thinking in the back of my mind, and what seems to be the humongous elephant sitting in the room, is the race and gender thing. And today, there was a brief discussion on MSNBC. They had a young woman who is black and an attorney, and talking about about Fani Willis and how her testimony and this sort of thing, and how it how a lot of this has been, the accusations and this sort of thing has been, I believe, has been race and gender driven. And, don't forget, this is Georgia. Now, I will say this with two Democratic senators, that Georgia is probably one of the more enlightened states in the Deep South, but it's still in the Deep South and they're not quite there yet. Okay. We've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, so need I say more? Okay, so I happen to think I loved her testimony yesterday. I loved how she just got right up there in the camera and said, "I'm going." She was chomping at the bit to be able to get up there and give her side of the story. And I know that a lot of the more scholarly lawyers are saying, "Well, she may not have done herself any good." I'm not so sure about that. So, so I really did I did appreciate her energy and her strength. And I could watch it all over again like 10 times and find it really wonderful. So first of all, I want to do a quickie, hopefully a quickie spread on if her testimony did her any good or any bad, or what it did. So, oh boy, okay, interesting. Okay, so the basic card that we have for that is the Nine of Pentacles, which shows a woman that is very well off. And in this, sometimes I like to read the energy of the, throw away the book and read the energy of the card. And, it's very interesting because the woman, in fact, a lot of the figures in this particular deck of the tarot, they're not white, but they're Asian. And they're in the Pentacles, which is all about money, prosperity, business. So this is very interesting in so many ways, because it's about how she spoke about her money and how it is a thing with Black people. And I've had enough Black friends to know this, that cash is the thing. Cash is the thing that you really need to have on hand, because you never know what's going to come up. So look at here. She's got this whole path of coins. It's cash. And very, very interesting. And I would feel that this particular Nine of Pentacles, which I think is a little bit different than the other decks, is I'm seeing her as kind of a businesswoman who is living a pretty nice life. So I would say that probably represents Fani Willis, but in the sense of, you see the coins all over the place, the gold in her thing is saying, I don't have it on plastic, I have the real thing. And that's how she deals, and that's how the testimony came out. So that's very interesting. So the energy crossing, that is the Knight of Pentacles, which could be, I'm going to say the energy around that is the prosperous Knight, which I'm going to say, and is the prosecutor in which she was involved with. And this is really interesting because he kind of wanted to be her. I can't believe how these cards can be sometimes. He said he wanted to be her a knight in shining armor with the money, but here she is. She's saying, no, I'm going to pay you back. And therein lies the conflict of probably why the relationship didn't last. But I'm kind of guessing that they're still good friends. So let's see beyond their relationship. Let's see what's underlying this as far as the question of race and gender driving this, because he's kind of the chivalrous man and she's the independent woman. So we have got it's the living in the past card, but it's seeing it for what it is. It doesn't work anymore. It's overly sentimentalized. The Empress in reverse, really interesting cards here. Okay, so I'm going to say that the underlying thing here in this whole dynamic and what's kind of going on with these hearings is that this kind of upset the apple cart. I mean, it's like everybody at the workplace dates, and the fact is that I do believe they didn't really start dating until the marriage. The ink might not have been dry on the divorce paper, but they pretty much dated when he wasn't living with his wife anymore. So then we have the Empress and Strength in reverse, which is saying that as a woman, as a Black woman, that the powers that be, in other words, the Trump lawyers, saw her as kind of uppity, and they're trying to take her down a peg or two. I don't know that evidence, they were trying to trip these people up 10 ways to Sunday and just couldn't see, just could not, there's just nothing there. There's no there. So I'm going to go, let's see what hopes and fears. Princess of Pentacles here. The hopes and fears is that I guess someone out of their range, and I believe at a young age, has gained some power. So they find that the people finding an excuse to not have Trump face the trial, they find her threatening, because here she's been a lawyer all her life, started out kind of powerful and really rose to some position. So there's the feeling of threatened. So let me see what the outcome is. Oh boy, you can't make this stuff up. The outcome I have here is justice. So in some way, I feel as though justice will be done either in the short or the long term. I'm pretty much thinking that the judge may just say, there just isn't enough evidence. There's not enough evidence. I don't know that he wants to say that that an elected person like Fani Willis is lying. So, and I also I don't know if it's appealable, but it probably is. So I think another reason he may rule in her favor is that it would be a loser on appeal. That's what I'm seeing for this. So so it does go back to being threatened by a powerful woman, and a woman of color too. So there's kind of like that dynamic. It's telling me that the Trump lawyers are trying to use this way down south in the land of cotton old story that to kind of get her disqualified, that sort of thing. I think there's an undercurrent of that they're thinking maybe the white judge will gobble it up. I'm not so sure of that. This is not the 50s anymore. So that's very interesting. So what that's telling me is that I don't think that her, I think the cards have said that her testimony, I don't think did her any harm. And we'll have to see whether it did any good. But I believe that the judge, if he rules in her favor, it'll be pretty much based on the lack of evidence and not, and not her performance testifying. But I'm also getting a sense that she really did it, to let the rest of the nation and the world know that she was not going to allow her reputation to be marred and to be taken off this big case. And I know it's controversial, but I really do like what she did. Okay, so let's see. We could dig a little bit deeper into I was sort of centering, we could dig a little bit deeper into the gender and race issue. Okay, and we'll just make that a real quickie 3-card spread just to see what else there is, because it's interesting. The place, I don't know if this would have happened in any other place but in the South, so that's interesting. So let's see, put down a few cards. 4 of Swords in reverse, and the King of Pentacles, and the Prince of Swords in reverse. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is kind of throwing the whole thing of throwing the the trial into kind of like an illness, or that needs some time to recuperate. So I'm going to say that that's one of the driving forces. And as I see this king, King of Pentacles here, which is interesting because he's not Asian like the others. Pentacles are in this. Oh, that's a different deck. That's why. Okay. So, so I'm seeing this guy here on his throne with the pentacles, trying to show that being white and money really, really counts. And it's a big power play in the hopes of weakening the case, making it sick. So it has to recuperate. And I'm going to say that is made for some very, very harsh words on both sides, because I've seen the lawyers get very contentious. So what I'm seeing here is that because of the emotional quality of what went on the past couple of days, that there is an underlying thing of the old race and gender stuff. So I feel like one more card here. Okay. But in the end, the truth will come out. So whatever drama there has been in showing that this is still the South, and, white people still, you can do what you want, but you need to do it under our, and according to how to keep us superior. So, but I'm going to say, in the end, the truth comes out, and the evidence, it doesn't look to, and I think that a lot of the lawyers on TV are saying the evidence just doesn't cut it. Just doesn't cut it. So so it really looks as though that in the end that as much as I'd like to get rid of her for whatever reason, they really can't. They just can't. And but I do feel as though, and I know with Trump, he is absolutely hating the fact that women, it's not only women that are bringing him down, but women who are not white that are bringing him down. And this is for another reading, but Letitia James, with making her statement about the big money settlement for the New York thing, came on as a very strong person, and she's the type, and he had to totally trash her in his little I heard of his speech. Okay, so I found that some of the most interesting testimony came from her father. I had no idea what her father did, had no idea about his background, but he's a very accomplished lawyer. He's registered in like 80 zillion states to before he retired. I don't know where he hasn't worked as a lawyer. And so it looks as though it runs in the family. He's very educated, articulate person. So getting a little bit frail he's got some health issues and that sort of thing with his age. But, and it's funny because he's so, compared to his daughter, he was just so cool and mellow, but very firm, very firm. And I know that from having a father as a lawyer, he really did conduct himself as a lawyer, like the former boyfriend did, and was very careful about how he answered the questions in ways that lawyers know how to answer questions when they're on the stand. So I found him to be very, very interesting. Plus, talking about the cultural things about money and this sort of thing. So he was a very interesting person. So, okay, so let's see how his testimony is about the money and everything else. So I'm going to do a quickie little, hopefully a quickie spread on that. So let's see. So for him, Ace of Pentacles. This guy, I don't know his background before he started practicing the law, but it seems as though he's, I would say that the Ace of Pentacles doesn't always mean sudden wealth, but always had this very grounded kind of a thing going on with him. Very grounded in the material world. But there is also, there's also water and that sort of thing, which is saying intuition plays a part. So any kind of prosperity, he's now making a documentary. So any kind of prosperity he has gained, it's really been through a lot of hard work and being very bright. So it has paid off for him, and it's the value, and again, it's the value of money, telling her always have cash in hand. See, there's a hand here, always have cash in hand. And he said it's a black thing, and he explained it very, very well. So let's see here. Let's see what the energy is with this. The Hermit. I'm going to say this, there's also in his testimony, there's also the fact that because of the threats and whatnot, that he and his daughter were separate. She had to move out of the house because of the threat. So and COVID, he said he got tuned into COVID about a year before the rest of us did because of his extensive travel. So he was very much isolated and left alone. And when I see this guy in reverse, it tells me there is a certain amount of loneliness in it. But he did actually make good use of the time. But there's that serpent in this particular deck, the serpent there, which is saying that in the times in which he lived, he always had to step cautiously because of racism, that sort of thing. That's kind of been the little bit of the block in the path is his having to deal with that sort of thing. And the advice that he gave his daughter about always have money on hand, be independent. And he did raise an independent person. And I think this is what so many people of the establishment have been put off by her, is because of her independence. So what do we have here? Okay. I'm going to say that that in his life, because of, perhaps being Black, is that he's known betrayal. He's known probably losing jobs or not being hired at certain law firms back in his younger days. And the myth of the South, well, he did, although he didn't really go there till later, but it's kind of like but this is where they are now. The myth of the South, that old things were so wonderful back in, the 1850s or whatever, and the way they kind of look back at the old glorious South and the this and the that. And it's been very, very harmful to a lot of people. So so these are things I'm going to say I feel as though he's had to deal with that may not have come out in the testimony, but it sounds as though it's made him probably a better and he came across as a very wise person. So let's see what their hopes and fears were. The T lawyers, the hopes and fears that they found with him. And we have the King of Wands in reverse. So I think that they were kind of hoping that he would be very defensive and contentious and very difficult to deal with. But he wasn't. So they kind of hoped it, and they sort of had a little bit of a fear about that too. But that it just didn't happen that way, which I think they really didn't have much more to say to him. So let's seeing what the kind of an impact his testimonial have. Yeah, I'm seeing that he was so good that I'm seeing that they had to kind of walk away from this, and that perhaps they hadn't gotten the results or the kind of testimony that they were hoping about. And let's see, then we have the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. This is all about, well, we planned it this way. We planted our tree this way and it didn't work out. So we kind of have to walk away from it. And let's see here. Then we have the Seven of Wands. So I think that those defense lawyers pretty much got kind of trapped with their back against the wall because of the various testimony, and they just could not get anything, really useful for them. So these are kind of cards of this is, being overwhelmed, but these are kind of cards of defeat in a different way, in the emotional way and in the solid, like this is the law, earthly kind of thing too. So I'm hoping I'm hoping that there will be more discussion about these overtones of this sort of thing. So I just want to say that I'm hoping that you find this interesting and that I would love to see you hit the subscribe and the like button so I can start to get some more views. I'm starting to learn the technology of this, but now I'd like to get some more views and more subscribers. I know I'm one of 50 million tarot readers, but we all have a little bit of a different take and a different interpretation. So I encourage you to listen to all of them, and me too. So I am going to end this with my usual, and this is going to be really brief. Not even going to do a reading on this. I'm going to do the Stinky Donnie moment of stench. Oh, this is a one. This is kind of, I'm only giving this one clothespin because I turned it off really quickly. He did the accordion thing like he always does, and he said pretty much said the same thing. A little later, I saw the recap. It's kind of like, can't he come up with anything else? So I think just that hand thing just drives me nuts. So at any rate, that is the moment of stench for today. So I will be getting back on the air because there are so many different things to cover. I mean, from today alone, you could do it for a week. So at any rate, everybody have a nice President's Day weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye. Oops, bye. Where are you? Okay.